on here. On the homepage so it doesn't do that like 30-second bullshit on me. I feel your exhaustion.
No, you really don't.
I almost fell asleep during SmackDown.
For you.
Hey, put your little advertisement, you bastard. Okie dokie. Let's make sure I got this properly on here. Oh, it's doing that 10-second bullshit. There we go. That's good. All right. Now we're rocking and rolling on my end with the Twitch stream.
All right, let's get going then.
All right, let's rock and roll. Recording 3, 2, 1, mark. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Awesome Mania. As we say this with some exhaustion to ourselves. I'm Michael, and he is, of course, your undisputed champion, Mr. Ben Taylor.
Hello.
You have more enthusiasm than I do.
There's a lot to be enthusiastic about.
Yes. So this is going to be a lot to recap. And we're just going to hop right into the shit. Starting off with NXT TakeOver.
You should do this.
Oh, yes. The,
we go.
Hey! So, we have the War Raiders taking on Ricochet and Aleister Black. We both picked the War Raiders, and the War Raiders would retain via pinfall.
Yep.
At the end of the match, both Ricochet and Aleister Black, we get a standing ovation and a show of respect from not just the crowd, but also the War Raiders. Which I thought was actually kind of cool for a send-off match. Yeah, I know. Shoulder shrug.
I know it's dismissive, but I don't care. By doing what they've done with the War Raiders, which is effectively what they did with AOP back when AOP were in NXT, is killed the tag division. Like there isn't a single tag team in NXT now that's a viable contender. Not one.
So moving on to the next match,
yep.
You had the Velveteen Dream versus Matt Riddle for the North American title.
Mm-hmm.
The Velveteen Dream would actually retain via pinfall in a match that actually would see Riddle like literally kick the shit out of the Dream for the majority of the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely a strong showing from Matt Riddle, but that one little mistake, that's what the Dream was able to take advantage of to retain the title.
Yeah. It's very interesting in how you see themes in Matt Riddle's matches. Because this is very similar to a match that he had against Travis Banks while Travis was Progress Champion, where Riddle just beat the shit out of him for the entire match, and then out of nowhere, Travis kind of just takes the win. It's it'd be interesting to see what's next for Matt Riddle, because he was
There were moments he could have gone heel.
Yeah, they were teasing some heel stuff with Mr. Riddle, so
Yeah.
and they need a new top heel now that Tommaso's gone, and well, we'll get to the main event.
Yeah. And then next up we had your piss break, Walter versus Pete Dunne.
And a good piss break it was.
For the NXT UK title, which would see Walter defeat Pete Dunne via pinfall. Interesting note, after the match, in a backstage interview for WWE.com, Pete Dunne would outright say a rematch is coming, to which then William Regal would see him and it would nod in approval.
Mm-hmm.
Also, other breaking news from this weekend in regarding our new UK champion, as reported by Noam Dar, who then was reported by Molly Spartan, who then was reported by you, Ben.
Mm-hmm.
It is with
it is with intense pleasure that I report that Walter is a dafty.
And for those of us who don't know what a dafty is, can you please explain what that is?
Someone who is daft. An idiot. A dum-dum.
Thank you for the clarification, sir. And just for the record, on this one, I did pick Walter. You did pick for a piss.
Yep.
We were both correct.
We were both correct, because that's exactly what happened.
Close my door again. Next up, you had the NXT Women's Championship on the line. You had Shayna Baszler versus Bianca Belair, Io Shirai, and Kairi Sane in a fatal four-way, which would see Shayna Baszler win via submission when she would tap out Bianca Belair. Solid match. You had some pretty good moments. You had Io and Kari do their team up as the Sky Pirates in the matchup. But overall, solid match. It also comes up to the thing that you were saying where Baszler was going to retain. So you were right. I was wrong. And then in our main event, we had Johnny Gargano. Wait. Hold on. Before you correct me, Jonathan Q Wrestling Gargano. Which, by the way, I tweeted that out.
I did see that. Yep.
I did that for you, Ben. I did that for you.
Good.
Take on Adam Cole, Bebe, in a 2 out of 3 falls match to become the next NXT champion, which would see Johnny Gargano win 2-1. Adam Cole would win the first fall, which then Johnny Gargano would win the next 2 to become NXT champion.
So let's talk a bit about this match, because I'm not sure if you remember, right after he won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, there started being these pieces of paper that started showing up in the crowd that said Cesaro section. Right? Do you remember those?
I do remember those.
Right. Now, those were sort of a fan push, right? Yeah. Try and get Cesaro recognized. However, we can no longer trust any piece of paper we see at ringside, because all weekend we've been seeing Johnny Gargano pieces of paper, the Boston Hug Connection pieces of paper, the Becky Lynch pieces of paper. What was the other one? I can't remember the other one. Yeah. But I am 99% sure those are now seeded by the WWE. Because they are all made with the exact same white border around the edge. Right? And there were thousands of them in that NXT arena, while literally everybody was cheering for Adam Cole. And the moment I saw that, I was like, Johnny's winning. It was a dead giveaway. Dead giveaway. It was horrible. It was almost as bad as what happened during Kofi's match. But we'll get to that in a minute.
That was the fourth one. The fourth one was the Kofi Mania.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah. Being how you brought up Kofi, yeah. And then, of course, WWE spoiled.
Well,
we'll get to that in a bit later. But
yeah. But to me, people holding up all those pieces of paper, right? But yet everybody cheering for Adam Cole was a dead spoiler. It was like, what's the point in even having the match at this point?
You know who's going to win.
Yeah.
So, one of the other notes that come out of it is that Candice LeRae came out to celebrate with Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
And then once they got up to the top of the ramp, a neck-braced Tommaso Ciampa would come out and celebrate with Johnny Gargano.
There was a great moment where the NXT thing flagged up. And the crowd started to go nuts. And Johnny Gargano just looked at the crowd and went, he's behind me, isn't he?
This is TakeOver Chicago all over again, isn't it?
The other thing to note is on the WWE YouTube channel, not long after NXT TakeOver, they showed a video of the Undisputed Era coming backstage, and it's maybe the start of some dissension in the ranks of the Undisputed Era. Maybe we'll see.
More so, it seemed like between Adam Cole and Roderick Strong.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because they cut it off, they shut the camera down pretty darn quick. And it was worth noting. It was worth noting that when the Undisputed Era showed up to the watch along party for WrestleMania, Roddy wasn't with them. Just
the three of them.
Just the three of them.
Yeah, Kyle,
Bobby, and Adam.
So, so that's it for TakeOver. How would you rate TakeOver overall?
I would have changed 2 of the results, but actually I'd have changed 3 of the results. That doesn't mean they weren't good matches. Hey, Chubbs. Doesn't mean they weren't good matches. Well, the Pete Dunne water match was awful because it had water in it. But personally, I enjoyed all of the matches in some way, shape, or form, except the Pete Dunne water match.
I thought it was an overall enjoyable show.
Yep.
TakeOver obviously does not let us down with the actual match quality. No. So, like, from a match quality standpoint, I was definitely satisfied with everything that I got.
Yeah.
So,
as I say, the reason I'd have changed some of the booking is they've booked themselves into a corner in 2 divisions now. The UK division and the tag division.
Okay.
Both have people that are so dominant, nobody on the roster is a threat. Just no one. Hopefully, they'll start building up the Street Profits. Maybe tag them up with Stokely Hathaway, whatever he's called now. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, either that or get the Undisputed Era back on the tag scene. But overall, it didn't feel like they were good matches, but eh.
Now, next up on part of WrestleMania weekend was the WWE Hall of Fame. But there was also something else going on, which was the G1 Supercard.
Yep.
Which had
a lot of cool matches on it.
A lot of cool matches. Do you have the card in front of you for that one? Or
I don't, not off the top of my head. Let me look it up quick.
Yep. Yeah, let's give Ring of Honor New Japan some love.
Yeah.
Because we do a lot of WWE on here, so I feel that it's
Recurse
important to
for a
give them a
minute.
little love. Yeah.
Um,
Hello, Chubbs. I know Ben already said hi to you, but now it's my turn.
I will say this about the G1 Supercard. It itself had 12 matches on it. And there were a lot of people complaining about how long it was. Anyway, we're not going to talk about the first dark match. It's got Jenny Rose in it. Right, so on the pre-show you had the Honor Rumble, which the winner of which would get a future World Championship match, which was won by Kenny King. Then you had title for title, Ring of Honor TV title against Never Openweight title, Jeff Cobb against Will Ospreay, and Jeff Cobb won that. That was a really, really good match. Rush against Dalton Castle was sort of a non-event because it was like 15 seconds. Kelly Klein defeated Mai Iwatani. Again, I'm not as up on the Women of Honor stuff as I should been.
I do know for a fact that Angelina Love and Velvet Sky
Yep.
returned, but with Mandy Leon to create the allure, and they attacked Kelly after she won the match.
Yeah.
So I do know that actually did take place. I do know of a few things that took place.
Bully Ray came out for his open challenge, which was supposed to be Juice Robinson, intimated that Juice Robinson had been attacked backstage. Then out came Flip Gordon, faced down Bully Ray. While he was facing down Bully Ray, Shane Taylor and Silas Young came out, and it was it was 3-on-1. And then Juice Robinson and Mask Haskins ran out from the back. It became a 6-man tag. And Flip Gordon and Lifeblood defeated Bully Ray, Shane Taylor, and Silas Young. It was a pretty good match. In a fantastic triple threat match for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship, Dragon Lee defeated Taiji Ishimori and Bandito. In what might have been the most controversial match of the night, the Guerrillas of Destiny defeated Villains Enterprises, Los Ingobernables de Japón, I butchered saying that, and the Briscoe Brothers for a winner-takes-all for both the IWGP Tag Team and Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships, making the Guerrillas of Destiny the champions for both. And the reason why this was controversial is because this is where Enzo and Cass jumped the barricade. And apparently the New Japan people aren't too happy.
No. Not too happy is putting it nicely.
Yep.
They were fucking pissed.
Zack Sabre Jr. with Taka Michinoku defeated Hiroshi Tanahashi by submission for the Rev Pro British Heavyweight Championship. And afterwards, Ben tweeted, "Why is he making me like him so much?" And I tweeted about Zack Sabre Jr. I tweeted back because he's fucking great. Kota Ibushi defeated Tetsuya Naito, the IWGP Intercontinental Championship. This is the start of the very slow ascent of Kota Ibushi, I think, to Wrestle Kingdom for next year, where he will face Okada for the main belt. Then we had Matt Taven defeating Jay Lethal and Marty Scurll in a 3-way ladder match for the Ring of Honor World Championship, which, according to Ben Penrod, no one else wants.
Except for the people who have been paying attention to it.
Yeah.
For
anyway
about a year that it's been going on.
Yeah. And then in the final match, and this was the one that kind of broke a lot of people, was Kazuchika Okada defeating Jay White the IWGP Championship. There's not a whole lot to say really, other than a lot of people I like won matches. Mark
I noticed.
Haskins, Brothers of Destiny, Zack Sabre Jr., Ibushi, Matt Taven, they all won matches, so I'm happy.
And then while this was also going on, the WWE had their Hall of Fame,
which we're not
uh,
going to talk about too much
um,
because controversy.
yeah, all I'm going to say is props to Drake Maverick for getting on the microphone after that fiasco and getting things back on track.
Mm-hmm.
And also props to Brett and Natalia for soldiering through it afterwards.
What was the Scott Dawson?
Oh, no, that was Dash Wilder.
Yeah, Scott Dawson for not joining in.
Oh, yeah. But
the other thing I wanted to bring up, and this was cemented in the very first segment of actual WrestleMania, right? Is a lot of the Hall of Fame induction seemed to paint Hogan in a very positive light.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Yep. Yeah, it started with Honky Tonk Man. A little later on, you had Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Harlem Heat did a little bit of praise for him.
Yep.
Well, and also, I mean, Brutus the Barber Beefcake was also inducted by Hulk Hogan.
Well, there's no one better to induct the beefer, so
Yeah, you can't argue that fact. But
what I'm saying is, I genuinely thought I was imagining it. Right, I was like, there's a lot of people saying that Hulk Hogan helped them out.
I was picking up on that vibe too, because actually even Tori Wilson mentioned it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at the start of WrestleMania, Alexa Bliss came out and said, "Well, we got to go through the pre-show."
Well, before we do that, I wanted to bring up DX's.
Well, hang on. But I want to go into why I was feeling why this is noteworthy.
Go ahead. Yep.
Alexa Bliss brought Hogan out to start WrestleMania, basically, and I was like, a lot of people cheering that racist. Very slow engineering, reintegrating Hogan into televisual programming may be occurring.
Yeah, well, not only that, but also, I believe it was yesterday.
Big E's tweet.
Yesterday or Sunday. Yeah, Big E did a tweet where he mentioned that he had a conversation with Hulk Hogan to mend the bridge. So
we'll see.
Yeah, we could do without him, but you also can't deny who he is at the same time.
Anyway, yeah, let's talk about DX's.
But real quick before we go to DX, I want to generalize DX and the Hart Foundation together. I really like what they did for Jim the Anvil Neidhart and China, respectively.
Had them up on the screen.
Yeah, where they put him up on the screen, not just at the Hall of Fame, but actually when they're doing the Hall of Fame portion of WrestleMania, and people pointing up to the screen saying, "There's Jim, there's China." That I thought was really cool that they did that.
One of the stupidest things that happened in the entirety of WrestleMania, Kevin Dunn, get your teeth checked, was that moment where all the Hall of Famers were on the stage during WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And everyone's going around shaking hands, and there's a moment where Shawn is going towards Brett like this, and they just cut away.
Oh.
I'm like, no.
We want that, jackass.
And Brett's reaching out too. Like, it's not like
he's
denying the handshake.
But for DX's speech, I love the tribute that they did to China. I also love the fact that they're breaking like Vince's rules for things you cannot do during the Hall of Fame, which is mention Vince McMahon, and they said like Vince McMahon like at least 30 times in that.
My favorite part of the entire thing was when they were all saying it, and like Triple H was like, dude, we all work for him now. He will fire us. And Billy Gunn went, he can't fire me. And then Triple H was like, he will buy that piss-and little company just to fire you.
Well, even better, before that, Triple H was making fun of the fact that he had executive vice president in his title because Cody, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, all executive vice presidents. It's
Hangman
like, well,
Page
I guess.
isn't.
Oh, no, he's not. Oh, I
No,
thought he had some
it's
type of
Kenny,
title.
Cody, and the Young Bucks.
Okay, so just those four. But he was still alluding to the fact, well, I guess because I have executive vice president in my title, that makes me very important.
Yeah.
So there are some pretty good shots. I enjoyed some of the immature humor that they brought out, but I also liked it when they got serious too, especially with Sean Waltman.
Yeah.
Because I remember, and you remember when I interviewed Sean Waltman back in the MVM days, and he even said in that interview when I brought up the fact that he should be in the Hall of Fame because of what he's done in the Attitude Era, and he goes, "There's so many other guys, and seeing Scott Hall go in meant more to him." Same with Kevin Nash because they would never know if he would make it.
I
And
loved,
Sean
I
and
loved when
Sean
he was
kind of
like,
went full circle with his speech by saying the same thing
I
about
loved when he was like,
himself.
Kevin, you're not going to stand up. Do your knees hurt? And Kevin was just like, he's like, I was going to make a quad joke, but nobody would get it.
Some of us would get it, but no, it's I'm really happy for Sean Waltman. I really am because he's somebody who definitely deserves it. So does China, and I think they just opened up the door to China going in as an individual next year.
Well, I don't think it'll be.
If not next year, the year later.
Soon. There are people that need to go in before China. In singles, in my opinion.
Well, there's a handful that can easily go in. So
because China's already in, we don't need more two-time Hall of Famers. There's already like 5 of them now.
4 currently, because Jimmy Hart didn't go in with the Hart Foundation. So
according to Brett, he did. Brett was like, Jimmy should be here with us. So yeah. I consider him a 2-time. So
yeah.
But yeah, the Hall of Fame is my WrestleMania a lot of the time.
I enjoy the Hall of Fame.
One thing of note, and I don't know whether you picked up on this, was during the red carpet.
I didn't watch the red carpet.
Okay, so during the red carpet, they're interviewing couples that come in together, and often, like when Randy Orton comes in, they let his wife ask him a couple of questions and stuff like that. Like they're very much communicating with both sides of the of a couple, and then Charlotte and Andrade show up because, as they revealed at the Hall of Fame, they're now dating, right? And they don't say word one to Andrade. They don't ask him any questions.
I heard about that. Yeah.
They don't, like the closest thing to that he gets referenced is when Charlotte goes, "He picked the color of my dress." I was gonna wear yellow, but he said black and white. They just blanked him completely. It was bad.
I honestly don't watch the red carpet because I've never been a fan of those type of things.
You get to see some really you get to see a really cool, because a lot of the red carpet stuff is out of kayfabe. Right. The Hall of Fame is not in kayfabe. Like, you got to see Baron Corbin just being himself. You got to, like, there was a great moment where they're interviewing Braun Strowman, and he's just cracking jokes. Like, it was just, you see a lot of very interesting stuff on the red carpet. So
I actually love during the Hall of Fame when they come back from commercial and they did that bit with the Miz and Shane McMahon.
And then they did it later with Kofi and Daniel Bryan.
And Daniel Bryan
just turned his back on the camera.
That was great. Like I actually loved the one with obviously the one with Miz and Shane was like the better of the two.
Hmm.
But like I liked it when, like near the end, like you see Shane or not Miz and Maurice do like a little kiss,
Yeah,
and then they show Shane and his wife Marissa, and they're just like, fuck it, let's just go for it,
yeah.
and they do like a smooch, and then they just go back to Miz and
And they're
Maurice, and
just
they're like,
making out.
no, Miz and Maurice are just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
That was like,
Let's move on to
right.
WrestleMania
Yeah, let's
because
move on to Mania. You
we've
got the
already been going for half an hour.
yes.
So
So yeah, and you got the spreadsheet.
yep.
Alrighty then. So kicking it off with the kickoff show,
Hmm.
we had Tony Nese versus Buddy Murphy, and I'm going in the order that everything was
Yep.
in on the card.
Yep.
Tony Nese versus Buddy Murphy for the Cruiserweight Championship, which saw Tony Nese defeating Buddy Murphy via pinfall to become the new Cruiserweight Champion,
Yep.
which we both got right.
We did indeed. We did indeed.
And as we also mentioned, well deserved. And when we do match number 3, we'll bring up something very interesting about the first 3 matches.
Yes, we will.
Um,
The other thing I want to note about this match is it's yet another case of the cruiserweights being on the pre-show and absolutely fucking killing it.
Oh man, I love the cruiserweight matches. They're fucking killing it, man.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine that match right before the main event.
Yeah, I don't think it would have got. We'll get to that.
Well, we'll get to that. In the next match, you had the women's battle royal, which
Yep.
I do agree with something that Sean Waltman said at the Hall of Fame the night before.
Name
which
it the China Battle
rename it
Royal.
China Memorial Battle Royal. I think
I disagree personally.
okay.
You can't set a precedent of not naming it after the Fabulous Moolah because of bad things she did, and then naming it after someone else who did bad things. No matter how fucked up their life was, or I think it's better off just calling it the Women's Battle Royal. Mainly because people have been shortening it to Wombat.
Well, anyway,
and I think that's brilliant.
Shit. So in this match, couple notes before we say who won. Dana Brooke actually had a pretty good showing in this match.
Got a good pop too.
Yeah, it had a really good pop in this match.
Look out, all 3 members of the Riot Squad.
Yeah.
2 of the 3 members.
No, 2 of the 3. Because Sarah Logan
I genuinely believe, because they got rid of Nikki Cross early, Logan should have won it.
Yeah. But Sarah Logan, she also had a very strong showing as well. But it would be Carmella eliminating Sarah Logan to win.
They've pulled the same ending to the Wombat 2 years in a row now. And the thing is I didn't even know A, Carmella had been eliminated, and B, that she'd gone through the middle rope. Because it just wasn't covered. It wasn't mentioned on commentary. It was just like, why is she getting back in the ring? Oh, they're doing the Naomi ending from literally this time last year.
Yeah. Match.
And of all people, now I can understand why Asuka got the individual entrance, right? She's Asuka. But did Naomi get it because she won last year? Does that mean Carmella's going to get it next year? Or was they just?
That's a good question.
Otherwise, why Naomi? Like, she's done nothing recently.
Yeah. Except for
get arrested. What?
Except for complaining on Twitter.
Oh, she's got a right to complain on Twitter because they've not done anything with it. But
yeah. And then in our next matchup, you had Ryder and Hawkins, the Edgeheads, the Major Brothers, the Ryder and Hawkins, versus the Revival for the Raw Tag Team titles, which would see Kurt Hawkins pin Scott Dawson via a roll-up to make Hawkins and Ryder the new Raw Tag Team Champions. Which
Unknown Gamer 68. I had to pop in and see what play you two are talking about because wrestling is all fake and planned out. I completely agree. It is absolutely predetermined. Wouldn't call it fake, especially given some of the injuries we've seen.
Yep. But interesting.
Just get on with it, Mike.
Okay. Anyways, there was a comment on there. I was like, oh, that's what you're talking about. But interesting note. You had mentioned on Twitter about Ryder's gear.
Yeah.
Because the Revival were wearing the white and gold, Hawkins was wearing green and white, and then you had Zack Ryder in white and gold, and you're going, I wonder what this could mean.
Well, it was an homage to Christian.
Exactly, and not only that, but it also had mementos to Zack Ryder's career. So it, like, one knee pad had the rated R superstar star on his knee.
Mm-hmm.
The other one had the Broski is dead emblem on his other knee. So it was like a homage, not just to Christian, but to his career as a whole in WWE. So we mentioned that something was interesting about these first three matches. All three people, Carmella with an asterisk next to her name, are all from
New York,
the New Jersey, New York area.
Yep.
Carmella, obviously from Massachusetts. No, she's
billed from Staten Island.
She's billed from Staten Island, but she's really from Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
So they all have the Staten Island, New York ties.
Yep.
And that was the first three matches. It's all the local people getting the wins. Then next up in the fourth and final kickoff show match, we had the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Indeed.
Which we would see Braun Strowman win by eliminating Colin Yost, who I actually picked to win the thing.
So what you're saying is you were wrong.
Yes, I was.
Okay.
One of the interesting things is that I like how at the beginning of the match you had Colin and Michael Shea just crawl underneath the ring and hide.
I thought that was incredibly predictable and therefore crap.
Yeah. But them coming out when the Hardys were trying to eliminate Braun Strowman and then finally getting involved in the match, that was actually kind of cool.
The funny thing was, if you go to the WWE YouTube, there's a video of them under the ring.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's actually pretty awesome. But yeah, Braun got the win.
You are stalling out there, buddy.
Going on to the main card now.
Yep.
First and foremost, as you had mentioned, we had Alexa Bliss come on stage, to which then she would snap her fingers, I think a total of 4 times, to which then Hulk Hogan's music.
She only clicked her fingers once. It was I said break that she did 4 times.
To which then on the 4th time Hulk Hogan came out.
Mm-hmm.
And then after they were while they're still doing the posing and the music was playing, after Hogan said his piece, Paul Heyman came out to Hulk Hogan's music, which was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life because I've never imagined Paul Heyman coming down by himself to entrance music.
Especially to I Am a Real American.
Yes. Which also interesting note, Hulk Hogan had no idea that was going to happen, and he was apparently not happy.
Wrong.
That Paul Heyman was going to come out to his music.
Yep.
According to everything that I was reading, the decision Hogan was never told.
Nope. They knew exactly what was going to happen about an hour before the show. The decision was made during the tag title match.
From what I had read, it was decided.
I don't care what you've read, because if you watch the WrestleMania watch along, the official WWE one, Big Show literally says before WrestleMania has ever begun, they've switched it around and Brock and Seth are on first.
Oh, really?
Yeah. People knew before the show even began. The card had been changed.
See, I wasn't watching that watch along.
Neither was I. I went and watched it afterwards. I did my research, mate.
but yeah, so but according to the stuff that I've also read, besides the watch along thing that you just mentioned, certain people were also not put in the know about it. Because
Who
like
cares? He's a horrible racist.
If you look at Hogan's reaction, he was legitimately confused. Anyways, so uh Heyman comes
Also,
out.
he's in a segment with Alexa Bliss, who always gets interrupted.
Yes. So Heyman comes, he hits the ring, and he goes, essentially he goes, if we're not on last, we're going to be first.
So that my client can leave and go to Las Vegas where he's ultimately appreciated.
Yeah. Hint hint UFC.
Thank you,
To
Mike.
which
That was the reference.
Yeah, I know. To which then we would get Seth Rollins versus Brock Lesnar for the Universal title to start the match. Before the match would even start, Lesnar would just lay the beat down on Seth Rollins.
Mm-hmm.
And then once the match would start, Rollins would eventually get the offense in. It would be 3 stomps, and then it would be victory for Seth Rollins. So we now have a full-time Universal Champion, finally.
Mm-hmm.
And let's hope he doesn't drop it for a while. A good while. I mean, we understand why
I don't
Roman
care
had
if he drops it as long as he drops it to a full timer.
Yeah. Um, Next up on the card, you had AJ Styles versus Randy Orton, aka the I can't see what's going on in the ring match because of the lights.
There was a great on SmackDown tonight. I don't know whether you watched it,
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
but there was a moment where Randy Orton RKO'd
He RKO'd Ali, and then as he's
Ali,
walking up
and
the
as he's
ramp,
walking up the ramp, he's like, "I can't see, I can't see."
that was funny. Hey, at least he's consistent, you know. But
Hey man, both AJ and Randy apologized on Twitter, so
yeah. I mean, it wasn't
and
their fault.
I know it's been a continued thing since I think it was that one WrestleMania in Miami with the palm trees that people have been complaining about how lines of sight to the ring are blocked by the posts that hold up the covering for the ring. Like there's some dude who apparently paid like $400 for seats, and like he's sitting here and the ring's there and the pole is just right in the middle of his view, and he can see one corner and he can see the other corner. And he has to spend the whole pay-per-view doing this,
And that's not fun.
especially on the person sitting next to him.
Yeah. Or you could be that dude who bought obstructed view tickets, probably knowing that they're obstructed view tickets. He spent $664, and he's actually back by where like the ramp is, and he has like half of the back part of that stage
Yeah,
covering the walkway, covering his view. It's like, dude, you knew that when you're buying your tickets that you're probably going to get put in obstructed view if you're going to go into an end of the stadium,
yeah.
you know, or an
I'm
arena.
not. I I don't think I'm ever going to make it to a Mania at this point. Between the price and just my body not being able to take that much punishment, I'm going to be able to sit in an arena for, what was it, 8 hours in the end? Something like that?
It was 7.5 hours for the pay per view itself, but they
Yeah.
let people in, I believe, like an hour to 2 hours early. So you're looking at about, say, max 9.5 hours.
And the other thing is, I don't think I'll be able to handle all the idiots. Like all the people that just get drunk and just.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's keep
Um,
going.
yeah. So you had AJ Styles defeating Randy Orton via
Mm-hmm.
pinfall with the phenomenal forearm. Next up, you had the SmackDown Tag Team titles on the line as you had Rusev Nakamura versus The Bar versus Ricochet and Aleister Black versus the Usos.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I will note that I actually did like how they had that ramp, that mini ramp on the side so you
Yeah.
can get in the middle. But I was really pissed that so Nakamura, Rusev, they get the regular entrances, but yet the Bar somehow don't have any of their entrance gear at all. They're just in their tights, that's it, and go right to the ring. They don't
Mm.
have their jackets, they don't have their kilts. I'm like, that sucks.
Eh.
That's just me though. But it would be the Usos doing the double splash on Sheamus to retain the tag team titles via pinfall,
I think this was a mistake,
having the Usos win them.
especially given what happened tonight.
Yeah, with the Hardys.
Yeah, of all teams,
Um,
40-year-old broken down men can beat the Usos when 6 of the best in the company can't.
so the next up, you had Falls Count Anywhere, The Miz versus Shane McMahon. This one had some interesting moments to it, including Mr. Mizanin getting in the ring.
What a fucking potato. Like,
I love the
have you
moment
seen the
where,
memes that have come from this?
yeah, like the one for last night when Taker's in the ring. Um,
No, but
where,
like people have edited him into a bunch of other stuff, like that one shot from Age of Ultron where all the Avengers are coming across the screen and there's George Mizanin in the middle like this.
I love the moment though where George he could barely stand in the ring for
And
one.
Shane reaches over and lifts up his guard.
Yeah, it's like he's like this. It's like Shane just comes. There you go. We got this. And then just pummels him. But the finish though, the superplex off of the
Well,
scaffolding.
before we get to the finish, can we talk about the inadvertent holy shit moment
Which
with
one?
where Shane gets hit with the monitor and they're supposed to go over the top of a barricade and land on top of a golf cart, but then slips off the top of the golf cart and plummets like another 6 feet flat back to the
Oh
floor.
yeah, that one. I was like, how Shane was still able to stand and let alone walk down the ramp and get in the ring for a segment on SmackDown tonight after that alone.
Yeah,
Oh man. But this that superplex off the scaffolding onto the thing. How Shane McMahon was able to get maneuvered to be on top of Miz.
easy.
Like something like that though, honestly, I would have expected something where they're both down, they're both their shoulders are down, but like because of the way they fell, they both had an arm on top of each other, you get a double count. That's something that I could have seen happening off of that type of scenario.
Mm,
But what we got actually also worked because it helped. One, Miz kicked the shit out of Shane. Number
yeah,
one. So you see Miz get all that frustration out on Shane. Two, Shane gets so much heat for getting the win off of that finish.
yeah.
So it actually worked out both ways
And it's
in
been
that
carrying
finish.
on tonight on
SmackDown.
SmackDown.
Yeah. Next up, you have the Iconics versus the Divas of Doom versus the Samoan Botch Squad versus Boston Hug for the
Who?
women's tag team titles.
Who?
Sasha and Bailey.
Thank you.
Okay. And then this one, we finally got what we wanted, which was the Iconics defeating Sasha and Bailey, the Divas of Doom, and the Samoan Botch Squad when Billie Kay would pin Bailey to become the new women tag team champions. And they had a successful defense tonight on
They did.
SmackDown
They
too.
they ended the undefeated 45-0 streak of the Brooklyn Bells.
Who?
Don't be that guy. I'd like to point out that those women have worked very hard, and you, Saxton, and Tom Phillips, and all the others
Paige.
downplaying their 45-0 record, right? That's not fair. Just because they're not in the WWE.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. But then after the Iconics defense today on SmackDown, Paige was shown there, and it looks like Paige is now going to become a manager for a tag team moving forward.
The Sky Pirates, maybe?
Rumor has it Candice LeRae and Kari Sane are going to be the call-ups, but I wouldn't be surprised if it is the Sky
But
Pirates.
Candice and Kyrie wouldn't make a good team. They're too similar.
Yeah.
Uh,
We'll see. I mean, obviously, next week is the Superstar Shakeup. So if we really see anything, it'll probably be next Tuesday when the shakeup happens. Which we'll get to that in a little bit because they were doing a lot of foreshadowing on today's SmackDown for it. Next up, you had Kofi Kingston versus the new Daniel Bryan for the WWE Championship, which I thought it was a very solid matchup. Kofi defeating Daniel Bryan via pinfall off of the SOS or the Trouble in Paradise to become the new WWE champion, and that's after being put in the label lock 3 times in that match. And
This was the match that caused someone to block me on Twitter.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Because I mentioned that Kofi remains the only challenger to have come out first at this point, right?
At that point,
he still was at this point.
At that point, yes.
Right. At which point, this dude messaged me and he was like, wrestling's so bad nowadays, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, dude, traditionally, if someone doesn't like something, they stop doing it. Why are you still watching wrestling? Because it sounds like you got a hate on right now. And he's like, oh, after tonight, I'm out. You seem like a new stroke casual fan. How old are you? And I was like, 40. I've been watching for 30 plus years, from the guild halls and leisure centres back home in England to full-on stadia here in the US. And then he blocked me.
Pussy.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kofi, he legitimately was the first challenger to come out. I believe the second one to come out was
Ray.
Was Ray, yeah.
They were the only 2 challengers all night that came out first.
Yes. But definitely, and here's the thing,
again, I'm well aware that it's champion's prerogative where they want to come out. But for me, it's my preferences, champion should come out second.
Yeah. But there was a little foreshadowing because apparently WWE fucked up.
Halfway through the match. Yeah. Literally halfway through the match. On WWEshop.com, they released the Kofi there's a new Champ Yes There Is t-shirt for sale. And everyone went...
And actually, I found that out through Ellis on Twitter. Mm-hmm. Because Ellis is like, oh man, they just put out a massive spoiler. I'm not going to say it. And then everyone just starts posting it in the comments on his tweet. And he's like, I really hate you guys.
I really want to go. I want to go watch wrestling with Ellis sometime. I think that would be funny.
We either A, we got to go out to Denver, or B, we got to wait for him to come back out here to DC. Because he lives out in Denver now.
I'm out in Denver at least once a year. On the way to Limit Break.
Yep. But yeah, so Kofi Kingston, obviously great moment too, celebrating with his family in the ring, throwing out the T-shirts which they had under the ring, and I really love the fact that
the other thing that was a slight spoiler is the fact that they had the table there, right? And before they put Daniel Bryan's table on it, there was very much a title-shaped thing under the cloth. And you could see it when Big E went to get the present. And I was like, I wonder what's under there.
Yeah, especially the fact that they had the plates on it already. So, then next up, you had Rey Mysterio versus Samoa Joe for the
what US might title. Be my favorite match of the night.
First off, props to Rey Mysterio coming out as Mysterio from Spider-Man comics.
Yep.
That was really cool. But yeah, Samoa Joe, obviously we knew going into this that Rey got hurt on Monday. And so that this match was probably going to be a very short match, and Samoa Joe dominated Rey. Rey got the 619 in, but after that, it was all Samoa Joe. And it was a quick
55 seconds.
55-second match. Yeah.
They talked about it tonight on SmackDown.
Yeah. So
it might be my favorite match of the night.
Because it was not because of how short it was, but because of
No, absolutely
what it
because of
did.
how short it was.
Oh, because of just how long of a pay-per-view it was.
No, because of how fucking mental it made Samoa Joe look.
Yeah, which they carried over onto SmackDown
Yep.
today. Next up, you had Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, which had Roman.
This
Reigns.
would be the one you predicted Drew McIntyre for.
Yes, I did, and I got that wrong, and you predicted Trent Seven.
Which means I was right. Because Trent Seven always wins.
Always.
I'd like to point out that my prediction for the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal was also correct.
Stephanie Lady Balls McMahon.
Yep, because money went in her pocket.
Oh shit! But Roman Reigns would get the victory over Drew McIntyre via pinfall. Next up, you had Botchtista.
Where was the Elias thing?
Elias was later.
Was after Triple H? You sure?
I didn't write in his thing, but I think he was actually before. I think he was after Triple H, right before Kurt Angle.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're in the area of where Elias was.
All right, we'll talk about it after this match then.
Yeah. So you had Botchtista versus Triple H in a no holds barred match.
Why are you calling him Botchtista?
We'll get to that in a moment.
No, why are you calling him Botchtista?
Because as Ben Penrod pointed out, on his entrance alone, he tripped 3 times.
Yeah, that's not a botch.
So
that's tripping over.
But
not a botch. It's not a botch. Not a botch. Just tripping over. It's not a botch. The match hasn't started. It's not a wrestling move. It's not a botch.
But Batista.
Fuck's sake. Call him Trip Tista. Call him Banana Skin Tista. Whatever. It's not a botch.
Batista. But if Triple H loses the match, he retires. In this match, which we all can agree went a little too long.
Disagree.
You disagree?
I think it's perfect.
Just overall, just pacing in general. Yep. All right. I mean, to me, it felt a little long, but at the same time, you also got to take the match for what it is.
Manny OG says, "I honestly hate WWE since all these." Who are your favorites, Manny? Not ready for the change? Yeah, I can see that.
Okay, which is interesting because this is actually the right segment for something like that to come up because Triple H defeated Batista via pinfall. One thing I will say is the nose ring piece. You can clearly tell that they're recovering and then
doesn't matter
pulling.
Who cares?
But it would be noted later in the night, Batista formally announced his retirement from sports entertainment. Triple H also in an interview stated that this could have been his last match, but the fact that he still has the right to choose when his last match could be is important to him. Next up, you had Elias.
Wait, before you gloss over this, I want to discuss this match a little more.
Okay.
Because you think it was too long, and I think it was done brilliantly. Why do you think it was too long?
I don't know. I think just after a certain point, I just lost a little bit of interest in the match.
Mm-hmm.
Because after
do
a while,
you think that has to do with the match, or the fact that you've been watching WrestleMania for 5 hours by that point?
I think it's a combination of both. Because I remember you asking at one point during the pay-per-view, that you're feeling exhausted by the length of the pay-per-view, and then I go, yeah, and there's still 6 to 7 matches to go, and you're like, oh shit, really? And that was, I think that was after the Kofi Kingston match when you said that, because at that point we had only done 10 matches of the entire card, including kickoff show.
Sorry, I want to talk about what Manny's saying here. Don't let them know he's a John Cena. They're a John Cena person. They want the X back. That's you saw Crown Jewel. That's a bad idea. I want DX back. Sweet Chin Music. 5 years ago, you could never imagine Seth Rollins in a category close to Brock Lesnar. I disagree. They're just different. They're both really, really good. Well, one of them's really, really good. The other one is a freak of nature. Seth's fighting Brock. I'm okay with that. That's the whole point of David and Goliath stories. I'm glad Bobby Lashley's back. You might be the only person. Like the reactions to him have not been good since he came back.
Like, the only reason he gets a reaction is simply because of Leo Rush.
No, the best reactions he gets is when he loses. Let's be honest. And not in the I waited so long to see you lose. In the good, now we don't have to watch your match anymore.
Yep.
He's a charismaless vacuum. Sadly, I'm watching a couple of years because that's fair. It's fair, Manny. I mean, I'm a big proponent of not yucking another person's yum when it comes to wrestling, and as far as I'm concerned, people can like what they like. Half the stuff I watch on WWE Network is from like 2001 backwards. Like, I don't watch a whole lot of the new stuff. I watch it live when it airs on Mondays and Tuesdays. Well, I don't even watch that most of the time. I watch the highlights on YouTube, let's be honest. And then I watch specials for this. But
yeah.
Anyway.
So you have Batista retire. Triple H, you can tell now that he's getting close to that point of retirement now because he hinted at it. Which then brings us Elias doing his.
We haven't discussed
you
the
wanted
match. I think you say that you just kind of tuned out, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Again, I would be very interested, like, if you were to go back and watch the match now. Well, not now, but like tomorrow. If you would look upon it differently. Because I love the fact that it was just two dads just beating the shit out of each other. And some of the bumps that Batista took,
those were some crazy.
Crazy.
Like the steel steps.
The steel step bump. And then the DDT bump that Triple H took, where he just head first and just over the top Rob Van Dam style. Just... I didn't want a fast-paced match out of this, right? I wanted two people that were going to grind each other to dust. And that's what we got. And I think that's what the match deserved.
And I'll go back and I'll watch it. You know, because you know me, I always tend to go back and watch them.
I think you should try and watch the matches in isolation, though.
Not as a pay-per-view.
Not as a pay-per-view, because, again, you'll be sitting there for 7 hours.
Yeah.
Go back and watch one match every couple of days, or one a day, or whatever, or a couple a day. Just see how your opinions change on it, because, I don't know, it'd be very interesting to see what you think.
Yeah. And hopefully WWE Network will have put in those chapter
markers. the dots.
Yeah, the dots on the thing, so you don't have to be
so
like fast forward. Oh, they're so useful, but that way you're also not like fast forwarding for like the entire time trying to find it. But yeah, I mean, I'll eventually, when I get time to do it, I'll do that for that match. But Elias, he does this concert. I actually like the creativity with the drums and the piano. I really did like the creativity with that. And then you had the Doctor of Thugonomics come back.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool.
You saw that coming.
I didn't see that coming, but I popped for it, man. I really did.
I did say when we did our things last week that if Cena was going to make an appearance, that it would be to interrupt Elias, because that's exactly what happened last year, right? And I think this is going to become a running thing at WrestleManias.
And not only that, but something that John Cena said afterwards. For WWE.com,
where he was like, I wanted to be involved, but I only wrapped a movie last Thursday. so I didn't want to like build a feud via satellite. Shot at the Rock. Um, but I wanted to
But
be involved. So
but not only that, but the other thing that he said in the interview was that WrestleMania 35 proved that they can do WrestleMania without him.
that him without the Undertaker.
Yeah, they proved that they can do it without them. And honestly, not having Taker did not affect the card negatively. It
Not
didn't.
having Cena didn't affect the card
Yeah.
negatively.
Yeah, I mean, outside the little thing with Cena, which I enjoyed it greatly because I love John Cena as the Doctor of
Because it was a
Thugonomics.
genuine shock.
Yeah, and it was a nostalgia thing too at the same time. And I like the one meme that came out where it goes, "Dad, why does John Cena look like that?"
What happened
Dad,
to John Cena?
oh yeah, Dad with a tear in his eye. Son, the Doctor is back.
And that'll be the last time we see him for another 6 years.
Yeah. So, but the rap itself, like he alluded to going heel. And
Yeah,
doing
he did what he always did with the Doctor of Thugonomics, which was just like use insider terms and feel edgy.
yeah, it was fun. It was really fun,
Yeah,
and the fact that he renamed quote unquote the attitude adjustment the FU again for
yeah,
that one time, that was cool. Next up, you had Kurt Angle versus Baron Corbin in the Angle's farewell match.
yep.
This was actually a relatively short match, starting off with Angle getting most of the offense and then leading to Baron Corbin getting the end of days on Angle for the pinfall
For the win.
victory,
Yep.
um, which worked great for Baron Corbin because the next night on Raw, just nuclear heat on him for it. Um,
Yeah.
but then Kurt Angle getting the standing ovation after was
Yeah. The thing that didn't work on Raw though was Angle coming out and killing the Heat.
yeah. I was saying that he has respect for
No,
Baron.
coming out and actually getting the best of Baron Corbin. Like he came out, he's like, "I wish you nothing but luck," and there was like bad luck, angle slam, ankle lock. He's tapping out. It should have just been like, "I beat Kurt Angle, fuckers." End of promo. There should have been no Kurt Angle. It should have been full Roman Reigns right after he beat the Undertaker, where he just came out and was like, "My yard now," and left. It's
after
exactly
after like 15 minutes of booing.
yeah, it's exactly what should have happened on Monday.
Yeah.
Instead, Kurt Angle came out, took all of Baron Corbin's heat away by making him tap instantly. Like, if you could do that, why didn't you do it last night when you had him in the ankle lock 3 times?
Yeah.
And then Lars Sullivan showed up and no one cared.
It's like, and we could talk about it and not have it ruin anything for the last 2 matches, but it seemed like WrestleMania, we got what we wanted.
We did.
But then Raw became a troll job by the WWE.
Raw was awful. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Yeah. So next up, you have Finn Balor versus Bobby Lashley for the Intercontinental title. I actually did enjoy Finn's entrance, and that's probably the only thing I really enjoyed about this entire match was the entrance.
I'll tell you another couple of things that were very good about this match. Finn trying to vary up his offense a bit. A move we don't see from Finn a lot is the powerbomb, which he used to set up the coup de grace. And just Leo Rush's reactions
To the demon.
Yeah, like he come run the demon would just look at him and he would drop trowel and just poop himself. Just
I think Leo needs a new pair of pants. But Finn would get the pinfall victory over Lashley to become the new Intercontinental Champion, thus leading us to our main event that technically did not start until midnight. Oh God. Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey versus Charlotte in the winner takes all Raw and SmackDown Women's title matches. Title match, which would see Becky Lynch defeat Ronda Rousey.
I have come out here week after week, and I have tried so, 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 very hard. find something about Ronda that is worth
praising.
And while she gave me something in this match worth praising, how she was willing to bump. Boy, did she take a couple of stellar bumps. She botched the finish.
Yeah.
To the single most important match in WWE history.
And yet she she tried blaming the referee for it.
To the point that when they did recaps on Raw and SmackDown, every single match they covered that they did a video recap for cut to black for the pinfall. Because they didn't want to show the pinfalls of any match. Therefore, they didn't have to show the pinfall of the main event. And they didn't reference Ronda. They didn't reference her being like, my shoulders were up, my shoulders were up. It was...
Yeah.
It was...
Well, and there's two...
While it was the result we wanted, it was not the way we wanted it. We wanted her to tap Ronda out. But then again, I doubt Vince is paying Ronda enough to tap out.
Now, there's two theories that's been going around. Theory number one is that when they went for the pin, Ronda did not get herself positioned properly to take the pin, which was an accident on Ronda's part. And the referee did his job. He did the 1, 2, 3 like he was supposed to at that moment. The second theory is that Ronda technically went into business for herself.
She didn't go into business for herself.
I know, but I'm just saying these are the two theories floating around. I believe the first theory more than the second theory.
If she went into business for herself, they wouldn't have called attention to it on commentary.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Yeah, but I believe it's the first theory where when she took the pin, she wasn't in the proper position to take the pin, even though that was the spot.
It was a night of us getting the results we wanted, but not necessarily in the ways we wanted. Like, we got to see The Miz kick the shit out of Shane McMahon, but Shane won. We got to see Braun Strowman get his hands on the SNL people, but not for very long. We got Carmella winning the Women's Battle Royal. We got Finn winning, but we got the Iconics winning, but it had to be someone else's finishing move, which is very them, let's be fair. And this was the biggest sin of them all, I think. Of all of the matches, this should have just been a tap out. Just a good old-fashioned, clean fucking win.
Yep. And of course, Ronda also broke her hand in the match by punching Becky Lynch.
Which is incredibly funny, because at one point, Ronda said that Becky's face breaks too easy.
Well, Becky's face just broke her hand, bitch. You know?
Yeah.
Oh god, that was hilarious.
And then there was a moment where they got a table. Becky got a table, and Ronda's like flips it over and is like, "Tables are for bitches." And I can't remember who it was. Someone said, "What do you eat your dinner off then?"
Oh. That's a good comeback. I'll give them that.
But yeah, just kind of overall, it would have been yeah. Now, I would have only changed one result. No, let's say two results at WrestleMania and two results. Let's be honest, I'd have changed 3 results at TakeOver. Right?
Yeah, well, I know Takeover, the first one automatically would be Ricochet and Black, so they can
Yeah.
go into WrestleMania with the NXT Tag Team
And then
title.
they'd have won the SmackDown titles as well. Another one would have been Pete Dunne would have beat Walter, and I'd have put the belt on Adam Cole. Just to really fuck with people. And then here I'd have had someone new win the Wombat. Like you
Which, by the
said,
way, Lacey Evans was not in that match.
no, which surprised me. Um, came out and did a walk around bit and then buggered off again. As was quite evident from both Raw and SmackDown this week, nobody cares about her. She punched the most popular wrestler in the company, and people weren't booing her because she punched the most popular wrestler in the company. They were booing her because she exists, and not in like that heel heat way. It was like proper X-Pac heat. And I'd have put the titles on Ricochet and Alistair, and those would be the two I'd change on Mania.
Yeah.
And I would change the ending of the main event, but I wouldn't change the result.
It'll still be Becky winning. It'd just be Becky
Tap,
having Ronda tap.
like snapping Ronda's fucking arm off.
Yeah. So try to wrap up. We'll hop into Monday Night Raw and SmackDown real quick.
What was your favorite match from the weekend?
Oh man.
Actually, let me phrase it. What was your favorite WrestleMania match?
My favorite match of the entire weekend,
No,
or just
WrestleMania.
Just WrestleMania. Shit. It's like, here, let's take a look at this long fucking list of matches.
Right on your screen.
Yeah, I know, and I got it right here on my legal pad. It's actually what I've been reading off of, so I'm not reading like this the entire
That's fair.
time. I'm not gonna lie, the SmackDown Tag Team Title match was actually a really good, solid match. It was enjoyable.
Which one?
I'm gonna go with Kofi, Daniel Bryan.
All right.
I think the two of them, and the fact that New Day and Rowan never physically got involved in the match itself, but still had a little thing outside the ring.
Yeah.
And it didn't take away from the match. It actually gave to it. Overall, I thought that was just a very well crafted match, and the whole thing that it brought it to. So I'm going with Kofi and Daniel
Bryan. What was your least favorite?
Least favorite. I wouldn't say that I have a least favorite match. I'm just kind of like indifferent, I guess you can say. But like the women's battle royal, I mean, outside of really building up Dana Brooke, who kind of kicked herself in the ass on Monday Night Raw for a promo, which had apparently no emotion whatsoever.
I think that was the point.
And Sarah Logan, really having a good showing in those matches. Like really, the women's battle royal, it feels just kind of thrown there, which is a damn shame.
Yeah.
So like I wouldn't say it's my least favorite match, but if I had a match that I was the most indifferent to, it would probably be that one.
Okay. Right.
So Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah.
We'll do the bullet points version. So Superstar Shakeup is announced.
Yep.
That will be taking place next week on Raw and SmackDown in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Sami Zayn returned.
Yep.
To a really, from what I understand, a really solid Intercontinental title match against Finn Balor.
Yep, and a good pop too.
Yep, got a good pop and then went massively heel.
And then basically said, I'm going to hold you accountable because nobody else will. And at which point I said, nobody tell Sammy about D-Bry's current gimmick.
um, you had a surprise of the New Day showing up on Raw in the opening segment with Seth Rollins to lead into a.
Can we talk about how WWE fucked this up?
Yeah, well, this is the thing where I was talking about earlier, where they just probably did like a troll job on us on Monday night for the Raw after Mania. Because I actually I saw a tweet by somebody going, ever since Raw WWE embraced the Raw after Mania as its own like event, it's just not that enjoyable anymore.
I disagree. Last year's was great. This was the worst one of the lot, but I wouldn't say that they've not been enjoyable.
I mean, they've had enjoyable moments,
which is better than Raw usually is.
Yeah.
The whole point about the Raw after Mania is it's usually chock full of surprises and returns, heel turns and face turns and brand switches and all that kind of, and I think the biggest shock we got was a 40-year-old man that had missed his bus by 24 hours. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
like people have been like, "Oh man, we just saw a WrestleMania without the Undertaker, and it was really good." And then they go to Raw, and then it's like bong, and you're like, "Did you miss your bus? Because you're like a day late." The whole Undertaker thing was fucking pointless.
I agree, unless it's actually building to something the next Saudi Arabia show.
Fuck off.
Because he's supposed to be wrestling at that show. I mean, you had finally the debut of Lars Sullivan, which, yes, I understand
he showed up and nobody cared.
Yeah.
No, his finishing move, which is the one he did on Angle and then he did on one of the Hardy Boys tonight, right, is literally picking someone up and putting them down again as the move. It's just pick them up, put them down.
It's like the Planet Fitness commercial. I pick things up and I put them down.
It's like it's like a really bad boss man slam.
Yeah. So
and then this big diving headbutt that he's been doing. Yeah, because that's not going to end in a litany of concussions. I'm genuinely surprised WWE haven't banned that move.
Yeah, I know Daniel Bryan does not do it anymore, correct?
He does it occasionally. He's done it since his return.
But not as often as he used to.
Doesn't do it every match
now. I think he's doing what Jeff Hardy's doing now with the Swanton Bomb, where Jeff is using it more for television and special events, and not doing it because he has a new finisher that he uses on house shows for Jeff Hardy. And I think Daniel Bryan's kind of doing that same thing.
Because am I the only one that's completely over the Hardy Boys at this point? Like, I'm not, especially with what happened tonight, where they took the belts off the Usos, where I don't see the Hardy Boys anymore. I see two men that are so broken down. One of them was on the verge of retiring last year because his pelvis was fusing to his spine. Matt can barely walk. Jeff can barely walk up steps. That's what I see. I don't see Team Extreme anymore. I don't see the Hardy Boys anymore. I see two people that are the poster child for John Oliver's reports.
What was your thoughts on John Oliver's thing, since you brought it up?
What is there to say? It's stuff we've known for years. And if he genuinely thinks that Vince McMahon and the others are going to listen to us, he's a fucking idiot, because we've been saying it for years and they've not listened. Had there been like 80,000 people chanting, like, give them healthcare, give them healthcare in the middle of WrestleMania, ain't going to listen, mate. there was also a lot of out of Now, I'm not saying this to downplay the segment, right? But there was some stuff that he used to make proof that was a little out of context, right? Like when he was talking about Roman Reigns, like this is supposed to be good guy Roman Reigns, and they used the night after the Raw after Mania, right after he beaten the Undertaker, where people chanted arsehole at him for 15 minutes. I'm like, it's not your average reaction, John, and you know it.
Yeah.
Um.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like somebody came up to me randomly at work and asked me about because they knew I'm a wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And it's like,
but it's
well, not. And the first thing I said was like, well, one, I need to work on this quote because I need to get this out to a customer. Two, it was really one-sided for the most
I
part.
don't care if it was one-sided. It needed to be one-sided, right?
But at the same time, there were valid points. But also, one thing that I explained was that, I think at the same time, the way Vince runs the WWE is that even though it's this global phenomenon, he still runs it like the way it was in the territory days.
I don't care about why he does what he does.
Yeah.
The point is, when it comes to wrestling fans, this isn't news. This is something all of us have been saying for years now. The problem is, if they think that's going to change things, they're incorrect. What's going to change things is more coverage like what John Oliver was giving. Not fan outcry, because fan outcry has already failed. Fan outcry has already... We've known about this for a while, but...
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get back to the...
Raw and SmackDown. But yeah, so you had champion versus champion, Kofi versus Seth.
Now, this is what... We went on a tangent, but this is... They fucked this up completely, right? By promising this and not giving it, they completely fucked the crowd. The 90% of that last match, the crowd were playing with a fucking beach ball until Cesaro ripped it in half. Right? Tell me what would have worked better. Right? Because what you had is they built up Kofi versus the Shield. Kofi versus Seth. Right? And then they had Bobby Lashley and Dean Ambrose. Right? Where Dean gets put through a table and then they do an off-air goodbye, right? Allow me to put my fantasy booking hat on for a minute, if I may. Imagine like Seth's in the ring and he's like, yeah, man, we did it. I beat the beast. Blah, 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 blah. New day. Yes, it is. And they come down, right? And instead of being like, hey, man, go title for title, Kofi goes, hey man, we both had the time of our lives last night. Achieved our dreams. But later tonight, your dream is going to become a nightmare. Because one of your best friends is getting ready to leave WWE. Now I've been hearing, and Woods has been hearing, Big E has been hearing all about how the Shield are the most dominant threesome in the history of the WWE. Well, how about your boys, the New Day? One time. At Ambrose's last night in the company. New Day versus the Shield. Right here in Brooklyn. That'd be a way better ending to the show. It gives a proper goodbye. Like Ambrose doesn't have to come out after the show completely no selling being put through a table by Bobby Lashley. Right? There's no weird creepy overtones of Bobby Lashley like, I'm gonna rape your wife.
Speaking of that, I'm glad that you brought that up.
There's none of that, right? There is instead 6 of the best wrestlers in the company giving Ambrose a send-off. It gives the Shield one last chance to come through the crowd in the Barclays Center, the building where they first debuted on pay-per-view. Come on. If you tell me that what I just suggested wasn't better than what WWE booked, I'm gonna hurt you.
It would have worked a lot better. And it wouldn't have come off as a troll job like the way WWE did last night. But you mentioned Bobby Lashley and Dean Ambrose. And obviously you mentioned the whole thing of like, don't worry, we'll take care of your wife and stuff like that, which then led to the brawl that got Dean Ambrose put into the commentators table. Lio Rush did a tweet last night.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Gonna put yourself over like this?
Hey, I made him my bitch on that one. So
you're gonna put no, you didn't. You just played a grammar Nazi on Twitter. So I will now point out every typo you ever make on Twitter or Facebook. You're welcome.
All right.
Every time you misspeak in a conversation. And B,
you always do that to me on the conversation.
Go ahead and put yourself over here.
Anyways, Leo put out a tweet saying, "Don't worry, Renee Young. Curiosity of myself and fight Bobby. You're in good hands." And please note that I was not the only person who did the tweet. I probably got more likes because I got to it faster.
Uh-huh.
Courtesy, asterisk, English is a wonderful thing, Leo. And of course, also...
sorry, that's English, not English.
I said English.
No, you didn't.
I'm so tired. But anyways...
I don't care, so am I.
I know. So, but...
Do you see how annoying that is?
Oh, yes, I know. I get it all the time.
Uh-huh.
But, you'd be surprised how often I get it. But it's, one, I just wanted to do a pop at Leo, personally.
I'm just surprised they still let him on Twitter.
Yeah, I know, and that's also one of the reasons why I wanted to do that, just because of the fact that him on Twitter is one of the dumbest things that they let him still do. So, but...
Yeah, just...
I don't want to see where that storyline's going to go. I don't want to see where that storyline goes, to be brutally honest.
Me either.
Because, I mean...
I feel like it's going to be the storyline that they're going to force Dean out of retirement for Renee.
Or re-sign a contract to come back. Or
fight Bobby. Because of what he's doing to Renee. Though, part of me just thinks Bobby Lashley starts causing shit with Renee, and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins shoot him in the head. Like...
I mean, the only other thing that
they literally take him out back and handcuff him to the back of a Jeep and do donuts.
The only thing that I can think of legitimately of why they would be doing this is, Seth and Roman are upset that Dean's leaving the company. Yeah. Because that's their brother right there. With that, I see this as them trying to position Bobby Lashley for the Universal title with Seth Rollins.
Yeah,
I think.
But why?
And that would suck.
Like, I'm not sure even Seth could carry him to the match, right? Finn's been struggling. He's better than Seth. Yeah, I just said that out loud.
I mean, shit, he beat Seth with one fucking arm at SummerSlam a few years ago.
You know what I mean.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, I think that's what they're trying to position. And I hope they don't.
I don't know.
Yeah. However, SmackDown...
Can we talk about the thing that we saw both on Raw and SmackDown, which was the creepy bird puppet in the box?
I don't remember it on SmackDown.
It was on both shows.
It was on both. I might have been downstairs getting ice cream.
For SmackDown, it happened like right after the commercial break during the Iconics entrance.
Okay, I didn't see that because I was grabbing ice
All
cream.
right, so it's like this weird bird puppet thing that people have recognized from some film poster that comes out of a box and is laughing and then just starts coughing, and it's like, is this Bray Wyatt's return or something?
From what I understand, it is.
Really?
Yeah. Because apparently that bird thing is supposed to be a buzzard. And what's Bray's tagline? Follow the buzzards.
I make no sense in my promos, man.
But yeah, in theory, that is supposed to be a buzzard. And these promos are supposed to be for Bray Wyatt's eventual return. Because apparently they've done major changes to his character.
Well, they shaved his hair. He's gonna be a daddy soon.
And he trimmed his beard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, if people have noticed, who have been watching the past 3 months now, mine is gone.
So, Raw after WrestleMania, which is usually an action-packed, adrenaline-fueled thrill ride. Quote the back of a DVD box. Hot fuzz.
Wasn't so much.
It wasn't this year. There was like one big surprise, maybe? Two big... Let's say there were 3 quote-unquote surprises. It'd be The Undertaker, Sammy, and Lars.
Yeah.
Right?
Those are your only 3 surprises.
Really lackluster. Especially when one of those surprises came off as an old man missing his bus. And another one came off as literally nobody cared about Lars.
Yeah.
And the other one was a heel turn that went wrong because somebody's already got a gimmick, and the same gimmick, and said no one else is going to hold you accountable. Whereas SmackDown
was better.
Outside of some title shenanigans, right? Just went back to being just good TV. Like, it didn't try to do anything too surprising. It brought in a couple of new faces because, there's a shake-up next week, so they could be here full time.
Yeah, and that was something that we had talked about that was kind of foreshadowed on today's SmackDown of Braun Strowman and Drew McIntyre, both Raw superstars, partaking on SmackDown, especially with this, Drew being in the main event match. What?
Regardless of what brand it happens on, I'd really like to see Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman have a fight, please. Because I think that would be a very good fight.
Yep.
2 big guys smacking shit out of each other. Doing stupid things they should never be able to do.
Yep. That would be great.
Yeah, other than the tag title change, Raw was great. So not Raw, SmackDown was great. And to some people, the SmackDown, the title, yourself included, I'm assuming.
Well, yeah, because I'm a Hardy Boy fan. But...
Yeah, but you have to agree with me. That's not the Hardy Boys.
Oh yeah, I mean, they've gotten older. You could tell, but to me, like, I still have a soft spot in my heart for them. Irregardless, I mean, but I do understand where you are coming from at the same time too.
I just don't see the Hardys in.
I don't see the Hardy Boys.
It's time for them both to retire.
That comes back to that question I asked you last week. Because last week I asked you about the fact that did WWE make a mistake by picking up that 3rd-year option?
No, they didn't. Let me finish what I'm going to say.
All right.
Right? They need to retire. And I think they either need to lead this towards a retirement match between the Usos and the Hardys. Because this is, as the Usos said, guess what? If you let me finish my sentence, I have a point. In their promo earlier the night, the Usos said this is about finding out who the best tag team in WWE history is. Right? And the only way to do that is for one of them to not be in the WWE anymore. Right? Or they just flat out retire. Like, they try to split them up next week on the thing, and the Hardys are like, I don't fancy that, actually. I'm going to retire. And you send them down to Florida to become trainers.
Or have Matt be backstage as an agent.
As an agent. Send Jeff down to Florida where people can keep a fucking eye on him.
Yep.
And that's not me talking about a relapse. That's me worrying about him passing out from pain in the morning.
Yeah, but I mean, I see where you're coming from. I mean, we'll see what happens.
It's just Edge and Christian hung it up. Devon's hung it up. Bully Ray only ever really does matches where he doesn't have to bump anymore. And if he does, they're like 5 minutes long.
Yeah, well, Edge was forced by a doctor.
But that's not the point here, man. The point is they're at an age where they're gonna hurt themselves. They're gonna or they're gonna hurt someone else, which is even worse. Like the fact that when Jeff does do the Swanton now, he doesn't even try and pad it. He just splats people.
Well, actually, that is padding because he's even openly said in interviews that in the past he would do a more riskier style of doing the Swanton. The version that we're seeing now of his Swanton is actually one that actually takes less of a blow on his back.
Not talking about him.
But the thing is, though, is that the way he lands it is because he's worked obviously with these guys and talked to them. This is how I want to land it, and worked with them, and they're telling him, yes, this is okay.
Yes, because they don't want to see Jeff Hardy die.
Yeah. So it's to them being in the ring. Obviously, they've worked with it, so they know it's a safer version, not just for Jeff, but also.
But it's not. It's not a safer version. People were talking about it again on the pre-show, the watch-along show. Someone asks, it's during the Cruiserweight match, and someone's like, who's the person you've had land on you the hot? No, it's not during the Cruiserweight match. It was during AJ Orton, because AJ does the 450. And someone says to, I think it's either Gallows or Anderson, is like, who's the person you've had land on you that's done it the roughest? And Big Show's in the room, because Big Show's like, oh, Macho Man. And Gallows and Anderson are like, Jeff Hardy. Like, it can be safer, but still hurt more.
Yeah. Which is also the reality of the business that they're in at the same time, too.
Or just stop doing the fucking move. There's a reason Ricochet's done the code breaker the last couple of days. Because he only wants to. Because the 630 should be reserved for special occasions, and apparently they won't let him do the Benadryller.
But it also, I mean, I will say this part. It does put Jeff in a precarious position, though, from time to time, especially when he's tagging with Matt. Because we've been so accustomed for the 20 plus years of Twist of Fate Swanton.
Yeah.
When Jeff is solo, though, you do see him make an effort to use a different finisher outside of the Swanton to not use.
Have you noticed that recently Matt's not been doing the leg drop anymore?
Yeah, he's doing the elbow drop.
Yeah.
Instead. Yeah, I noticed that. I actually noticed that before he took the.
It's
hiatus.
almost like people's movesets can evolve, even when they're in a tag team.
Yeah. But, yeah, I know. And by the way, I will say this: I hate Jeff's version of the Twist of Fate. It looks like a twist of Stunner.
Yeah, it's because it's not the Twist of Fate.
But they keep billing it as the Twist of Fate.
No, it's the Twist of Hate.
Mm.
Been that way since he started doing it in Impact.
Yeah, I don't like that version. It's not a good-looking version of it, but
it's just a stunner.
Yeah, I know. But, anyways, we're at 11:51.
Does that mean you don't like stunners?
No, I like stunners.
It's so what's the difference? It's the same move.
Yeah, but it's 11:51. We're both fucking tired as shit.
I'm not that tired.
Oh, I'm fucking exhausted, but that's also because I've been up since 5 in the morning.
So have I.
So, but Ben, where can the people find you on social medias?
I mean, at Bob T Goldfish on the Twitter. You can find me, or the channel rather, at 321 Podcast on Twitter, or at 3 Topics 2 Guys 1 Podcast on Facebook. That's our Wednesday podcast, which we haven't done for a little while now because of the 3 things we tend to talk about. There's not a whole lot of news going on right now. So it's turned into Wednesdays of me and Jordan playing games and just chin wagging, really, which is what it's going to be tomorrow.
Yay! And then, of course, you can follow me by going to txhthockey.com, txhthockey.com/awesomemania, which is where you can get our archive. You can look at our beautiful Hall of Fame that is just a list of names. You can hit me up on Facebook at facebook.com/x75productions, Twitter at thelindenbomb75, and the next time we will be doing an episode will be live from Awesome Con. Awesome Mania 7, baby. Where we will have, when we just announced our second guest via Twitter these last 2 days, we will be having the founder and con runner of Awesome Con, Mr. Ben Penrod, as one of our panelists. And we will also have from Castwave Studios, a pro wrestling student up in the House of Pain in Hagerstown, Maryland, Brian Massey.
Yep.
And given what happened on Twitter today, we know something that's going to be talked about at Awesome Con.
No, Ben is probably going to try and bring it up, and I'll just be like, "Move on before you get hurt, kid." Here's the thing, right? Is on Sunday, I made a tweet saying, in a weekend of absolutely deserved title shots, I can't let Matt Taven's go under the radar. Right?
Yeah. Which I liked and retweeted the tweet.
And then this morning, 48 hours later, Ben went back, necroed the tweet, and was like, "He's the only one that wanted it." I'm not going to go into it, but suffice to say, Ben was providing a lot of what ifs, and I was providing this is what is.
Yep. And a current champion chimed in.
Yeah, Jeff Cobb got involved.
Oh, shit.
Because Ben had said something like, yeah, he won because he's the only one left in Ring of Honor. And I'd made the really facetious comment. I think it was,
It was
Hey,
super sarcastic.
it was it was super sarcastic. And what I said was this just in, apparently super talented wrestlers like Jay Lethal, Marty Scurll, Dalton Castle, Jeff Cobb, Mark Haskins, Juice Robinson, John Gresham, and Bandito apparently no longer work for Ring of Honor, according to Ben. Lynn Palm, we need to talk about this tonight. And it's quite clear that Jeff didn't get I was being sarcastic. He definitely went to Ben and was like, "You think no one wants it? I got nothing for you." Like, because Ben brings up contracts later in the conversation where he's like, Gresham isn't under contract, and Cobb and Juice are New Japan Pro Wrestling first. So,
I mean, the only valid thing out of the entire thing is the fact that we do know for a fact that Marty Scurll's contract is up at the end of, I believe, next month.
who?
Marty.
Who?
Scurll's.
Scurll.
Okay. Well, the rumor is
Scurll. Scurll. Not scroll. Not skull. Scurll.
Well, the talk
you've been my friend long enough. You should know this. And that's the thing that kills me about this, right? Is everyone's like, how are you supporting Matt Taven over Marty? I love Marty. Like, Marty's in my top 5 wrestlers. And I'm like, deserves it.
I mean, with the storyline that they've been doing for like what, about a year now?
It might even be like, not to go too much into it, but this, in a way, they've been building this story since 2014. Let me check the date exactly. Yeah, since like 2014. Because in 2014, the Kingdom formed. And the original Kingdom was Matt Hardy, mentoring Mike Bennett, Adam Cole, and Matt Taven. Right?
Yep.
Things go through, blah, 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 blah. More stuff happens, and eventually Taven got a legitimate knee injury, and when he went away, he turned on Adam Cole, kayfabe injuring Cole. What do you think that led to?
Cole versus Taven.
No. Led to Cole joining the Bullet Club. Matt Taven was the impetus for Cole joining the Bullet Club, becoming the 3-time Ring of Honor World Champion. You know that eventually those two would have had a match for the world title, eventually, right? And it was in 2016, which is when Adam Cole joined the Bullet Club, that Matt Taven announced that the Kingdom were entering the tournament for the Ring of Honor tag titles, right? 6-man tag titles. But at that point, there was no Kingdom. So it became Matt Taven's Kingdom. And that's when TK O'Ryan and Vinny joined him, right? And they went on to actually win. They beat Bullet Club, and then they beat a team from one of the Mexican promotions. I'm not sure if it's AAA or if it was CMLL. Probably CMLL, because that's the company that Taven went on to win a singles title for. So I'm going to say CMLL. They won the 6-man titles there, right? And then later on, long story short, cut to sometime in 2016, 2017, and Taven and a couple lost the titles. And every time they tried to get a rematch, Ring of Honor blocked them. So this started what was known as the Kingdom Conspiracy, right? And then they would keep Matt Taven away from world title shots. At least in Matt Taven's head. Because what you have to understand about Matt Taven is he's very narcissistic heel kind of thing, right? So the story is that as far as Matt Taven is concerned, Ring of Honor have been going out of the way to keep him away from the world title and to keep the Kingdom away from the six-man titles. And so there was some event, can't remember which one, but it was SCU versus the Dudley, Bubba and the Briscoes for the six-man titles. And the Kingdom turned up and stole the belts, right? So that they would no longer be ignored. They ended up winning the titles back. And then about 6 months ago, Matt Taven introduced his own version of the Ring of Honor World title with a purple strap. Which kind of forced the hand of Ring of Honor. And so they ended up putting him in a match with Jay Lethal at the, not G1 Supercard, the pay-per-view before.
Yeah.
And it was in the middle of the card, and it was a 60-minute time limit match. And at the end of the match, Marty Scurll just showed up and stole the belt. And the next night, Marty came out. Well, Jay Lethal was like, Marty Scurll, get your ass out here. Give me my belt back. I actually
watched that segment, so yeah, I know.
And then, well, I'm explaining for the podcast.
I know.
And Matt Taven came out and was like, you couldn't beat me, therefore I'm champion. Because Matt has this, as I said, this narcissistic thing. Yeah. You couldn't beat me, therefore I'm the champion. I don't have to beat you, which is the complete opposite of Champion's Advantage, which is why it was so brilliant. And then Marty comes out and is like, I'll give you your belt back. You just got to give me a shot at it. Matt's like, but I'm champion. And Marty's like, but I have the belt. And Jay's like, no, I'm the actual... So it ends up with Jay Lethal just being like, why don't we have a ladder match? And then that's what led into Sunday. So if you really look at it, there has been a very slow burn for Matt Taven that has been 4 or 5 years in the making. Get him to the world title. And anyone who says that Ring of Honor don't value Matt Taven don't realize he's one of 2 Grand Slam champions now. The only other one being Jay Lethal.
Yeah, and not only that, but when you, Matt, and the Spirit of Mansa went to Ring of Honor back in June
with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just said you, Mansa, you, Matt, and the Spirit of Mansa. You didn't mention yourself. You were there too.
Yeah, I know. When we went to that show, Matt Taven was actually part of a fatal 4-way with Cody Rhodes, Jay Lethal, and then Ring of Honor champion Dalton Castle, which Jay Lethal was the one who won that match.
Yeah, but just remember, Matt Taven's the only one that wanted it. They've not been building Matt Taven for 5 years or anything. He didn't win their prospects of what?
We're going there.
I'm angry now. Just like he even won their top prospect tournament in 2013 for fuck's sake. Like, but yeah, no, he was just there because no one else was still with the company. Yeah, nah. They've not been building that storyline for... I need to stop.
I know. So with that, Ben...
I'm sorry, Ben. I genuinely love you, Mr. Penrod. I do. But you're wrong on this one.
Yeah. So with that...
Hashtag thy kingdom come. Hashtag he's Matt Taven.
And with that, ladies and gentlemen, the next time we will see you for Awesome Mania, we'll be at Awesome Con. Please note you do need to have a badge to see us live in person. Ben, you and I will talk in the upcoming weeks about live streaming and all that, and what we'll be talking about on the panel.
Yep.
Yeah, Awesome Con.
And if you've got any ideas for the Awesome Con fantasy booking, tweet at us.
Yes.
Because I want to embarrass everybody on the stage.
Heck, we could probably ask somebody in the crowd, and they can ask them at the beginning of the panel.
See, that's what I'm thinking. Is like we ask at the beginning of the
panel.
That's what I'm saying. Is we ask at the beginning of the panel, and then we reveal our we work on it while we're not talking.
Yeah. There's just so much possibility now having 2 hours instead of 45 minutes.
Dude, we have to restrict the amount of time we're willing to talk about WrestleMania.
Oh, no. Trust me. I don't even have WrestleMania on the card that I have of what I want to, of what I love us to talk about. So,
you know if Daryl's going to be there?
You know he's going to be there.
Do I have to ruin Bailey in front of him again?
I don't know.
Ooh, that was an interesting thing.
Being how we're still recording, we're still live on Twitch. We'll let him respond to us.
That's one thing I did want to mention about Monday that I didn't mention before. In the match between Alexa and Bailey, when Bailey went for a pin, she held the rope.
Yeah, I heard about that.
I was like, I get the feeling they're getting ready to put Sasha and Bailey on separate brands.
Makes sense. It's about time that at least one of them get a change.
I would like to see Bailey and Charlotte be on a brand, and Becky and Sasha be on a brand, because those are combinations we've not seen very much.
Yeah. So.
Anyway, bye everybody.
Bye.
After my 10-minute segue about Matt Taven. He's really good at wrestling.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
The words of the 16th President of the United States. Excellent.